Notes video is going to be pretty short, pretty quick. I'm hoping, I think it's going to be quick, unless I get off topic. You guys know me. Let's dive right in. We will be talking about the space race. So, in the context of what we've been talking about before, this Cold War is this, power struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union, or Russia. We're trying to outdo each other in every way we can, and this actually also includes outer space. Our kind of bickering back and forth about, who can do the most things first in space is what we call the space race. We're literally racing each other to see, like I said, who can do the most, who can accumulate the most firsts in space. So let's dive right in. To do this, we've created NASA. This is probably something that you recognize. It stands for National Aeronautics Space Administration. Okay, and this is just, it used to be the military. It used to be under the Army because it was all about like rockets and stuff. So they kind of lumped that in the Army, and then eventually when we really started to do more than just shooting rockets, we kind of formed our own organization called NASA. All right. The first achievement in the space race is putting a satellite in space. It's an unmanned object. It's just metal object. And the winner of this is Russia. The satellite they send into space is called Sputnik. This is it right here. And like I said, nobody's in it. It's just a ball. What's inside of it is like sensors. So they're collecting data about outer space. There wasn't a ton in there though. I think they were collecting like temperature and maybe, I don't even know. It really wasn't a lot in there. But you could see it in the sky. You could see it. It orbited Earth. And it was a big to-do to like stand outside at night and watch Sputnik, pass across the sky. And this terrified the United States. This was absolutely horrifying to see something. You could literally see it in the sky. You could literally see it, sail on past in the sky. And everyone was freaking out. Oh my gosh, they're going to shoot missiles at us from outer space. Oh my gosh, you could hear it beep too. It was sending like beep transmissions. You couldn't just hear it like standing outside, but like if you had a special, radio transmitter or whatever, you could hear the beeps from Sputnik. Oh my gosh, the beeps are mind control waves. The Russians are trying to control our minds. They're going to shoot missiles at us from Sputnik. Oh my gosh, everyone is freaking out about Sputnik. When really, like I said, its only capacity was, like I said, taking like very basic scientific data, checking out outer space. Spoiler alert, it's really cold. But this really kicks us into gear into really getting into the space race, because we just can't let Russia just be putting things in outer space willy-nilly and we don't know what they're doing. We got to do this too. The second accomplishment is putting a thing in space, a living, breathing thing. Again, our winner here is Russia. They send a dog, Laika, into outer space. There she is. Unfortunately, she died. Yes. Wait. Did Laika die or the monkeys die? Let me look it up. One of them died because they didn't put like basically air conditioning in the spacecraft thing, and one of them, overheated. It was like, I knew it. They didn't put any air conditioning, so all of the like excess heat that comes off of machines, if you've ever been around machines, like think about computer rooms. Computer rooms are always the warmest room because all of the energy that the computers are putting off is released in heat. And that's what happened on the space thing, and she overheated and she died. Sorry, Laika. R.I.P. Laika. But it's the first time that a living thing was able to at least survive in space for a little bit. Space isn't what killed her. And so now they know, hey, we gotta put some air conditioning units on this thing, which is weird because space is like negative 1,000,000 degrees cold. So anyway, Russia's really stepping ahead here. Uh-oh, that's not good. Our third achievement, let's put a person in space. Oh my goodness, it's the Russians again? What is going on? The Russians are the first country to put a human being in space, not on anything, just in space. His name was Yuri Gagarin, and he just orbited Earth for a little while. So he was just in a spacecraft that was just kind of spinning around Earth, kind of like Sputnik, taking data, not dying and stuff. And he was brought back alive. He was he was like the celebrity, right, in Russia. He was like, oh my gosh, first human in space. Everyone was like, wow, Yuri, we love you. You're so cool. First human in space. Wow. And shortly after, a couple months after he returned, he died in a mysterious car accident. And it's like kind of a conspiracy theory that the leader of Russia at the time had him killed because Yuri was more popular than the leader of Russia. So, yikes. But first human in space. We gotta catch up here. These are all Russia. That's not good. That's not good. Let's look at our American counterpart here. Our first American in space was Alan Shepard. He was 3 weeks after the Soviets. He only spent about 15 minutes up there, like I said, just floating around, and then came back on down. So he missed this by 3 weeks. So we're in the game. We're fighting here. But the victories keep falling to the Soviet Union. Well, let's see if we can get another victory. What about women? Oh my goodness, it's another Russian. First woman in space is Russian. Now, I gotta say, look at her. That woman is Russian. You could just look at her and go, yep, that's a Russian. Her name is Valentina Tereshkova. It is not important that you know her name, but I thought it would be fun just to throw it out there. What is going on? Why have we not won a single event in the space race? What is going on? These are all Russian. Well, who is the first woman in space for America? First American woman in space is Sally Ride. Ride, Sally, ride. And yikes, 20 years after the Russians. We missed that one by a long shot. We missed the first man in space by 3 weeks. We missed the first woman in space by 20 years. Wow. America just doesn't like women, I guess. She is very famous. If you were to take the SOL, they would probably almost definitely ask her about you. You are still taking an assessment for me, a final exam. So, hint, hint, maybe we want to remember her name, Sally Ride. Ride, Sally Ride, Sally Ride. With a fantastic 80s haircut there. Look at that haircut. Nice. Well, let's get some more American. Let's try and get an American victory under our belt here. What comes next? First spacewalk. Russia again. What is going on? The first spacewalk is basically a human leaves the ship. They're still tethered to the ship by like a little, basically, literally like a rope, like a fancy rope. And they're just kind of out there, floating around in outer space outside of the ship, and then they bring it back in. And the winner for the first spacewalk, it's not actually walking, it's more floating, is Russia. Alexei Leonov leaves the Russian spaceship for 12 minutes, just kind of floating around. That must be absolutely terrifying, because if that rope snaps, you are like stranded. I don't know if they have like giant claws where they can come and scoop you or what, or jetpacks or something, but that must be absolutely horrifying. What an experience. But it was not the United States who wins this one. The Russians are killing it, man. What is going on? That's 5 in a row. 5 in a row that the Russians complete first. This is crazy. I don't know what's going on. First humans land. Oh, finally. Finally, it is the United States. First humans to land on the moon. In fact, the only humans to land on the moon. That is correct. To this day, the United States is the only country to put a living creature on the moon. The first man on the moon is Neil Armstrong. There were 3 men on his Apollo mission, and they drew sticks to see who would be first, who would be second, and then one of the guys had to stay behind. So somebody made it all the way to the moon and couldn't get out of the ship. Heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. I would be mad, mad, mad if that were me. If I made it all the way to the moon, at least let me get out. At least let me stand on it. Damn. Neil Armstrong becomes the first man on the moon. He says his very famous quote, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Meaning, it only took him one little teeny tiny step to step down off that ladder, right? Just one average size, regular step. But by doing so, we've propelled humans, mankind as a species, we've propelled ourselves forward so much because we have literally landed and are standing on the moon. Something outside of Earth, something in outer space. And that's a big deal. Let me see if I didn't pull this up. Let me see if it'll come up without an ad. What? Devastating. Well, anyway. How do I present this? There we go. You can find footage of that one that I had was devastatingly deleted, but you can find all kinds of things. They aired it live on television. So my dad actually remembers sitting in front of the television and watching it very vaguely, but he remembers his mom saying, "Sit down in front of this TV. You're gonna watch History Today," and he remembers watching this. So. It was huge. It was really, really cool, and a lot of people, like I said, got to witness it because they put it on TV. I don't know if it was directly live. There probably was some delay because it's not a short distance to the moon, but still, even being able to see the footage at all at home on your television was really, really cool for a lot of people. By the way, so we talked about 6 things here, right? 5 of them were, quote unquote, won by Russia, and then only 1 was won by us. Even though the Soviet Union, quote, won more of these space race events, people generally declare the United States the winner of the space race. So even though we totally, we're just dragging our feet for the first 5 events, because we were the first humans to be on the moon, people generally consider that the United States won the space race. Crazy. Even after the Cold War is over, even after we're out of this space race, NASA continues to explore space. They still exist to this day. If I remember correctly, there are a bunch of new missions that are coming out over the next handful of years. I think we're going to try and land humans on Mars. I think we're going to go back to the moon. I'm not sure. I got to get up to date on that, but we've got some exciting stuff. Hopefully this interests you. I think space is really cool. So I'm excited to see what we do. NASA had a kind of bump in the road. They almost shut down after what's called the Challenger disaster. So there was a Challenger shuttle, and it was I think it was 7 astronauts on board, and they had a civilian on board too. They had a science teacher who was going to go up and do live lessons from outer space. My science teacher in high school actually applied for the position, and she made it to the last 20 applicants or whatever, but then she got denied. About a minute and just over a minute, 73 seconds after the shuttle took off, the Challenger shuttle took off, it exploded on live television. And obviously and everybody on board died. There was some sort of onboard fire that obviously spread to everything else, and the shuttle blew up. literally on live television, because they were airing the launch live, and nobody knew what was going on. It was crazy. Anybody from around that time, I think it was sometime in the 80s. I want to say 83. I don't know why that's calling to me. Challenger explosion, 86, which is not that far away. So you may have parents or grandparents possibly who remember watching this. Ask them about it. See if they can remember where they were, if they were watching the Challenger explosion. But it was crazy. It was obviously very, impactful, to have literally watched that on television, just sitting at home watching this explode. Nobody expected it. Now today, if they film, if they broadcast launches of space shuttles and stuff, it is delayed so that if anything goes wrong, they don't air that on television unexpectedly. But that was crazy. As I said, all 7 passengers were killed. One of them was a science teacher, and my science teacher was supposed to be on board, which is, well, wasn't supposed to be, what applied to be. And it was crazy. We know, as I said all of this before, yikes, I didn't know I had this on a slide. NASA still exists today, but we no longer air any rocket launches or shuttle launches on live television, which is probably understandable. And that's it. The space race. Little set of baby notes today. Bye, everyone.